Ready to get on. Let me get you into Facebook. Okay. Bye-bye. It's a big, and because it's pink, I admit to you Pepto-Bismol, but I do not know.
What's up, Mel?
Hey, Phil. Let me get you on Facebook. Hold on.
All right. What's up, everybody?
Hi.
Hello. Two of my favorite clients. I wouldn't just say that for anybody. Plus the best Dofi in the entire Keller Williams international network.
I will pay you later, Bill. Okay.
You don't have to pay me.
I don't? Oh, you're so sweet.
Just some chips and salsa every once in a while.
I know it.
Please. For those that don't know, if you want some extra time, just give me some chips and salsa and you can pretty much have all the time you want. That's my weakness.
Good to know.
Are we on Facebook yet?
I'm almost there. Hold on. I don't type fast, Bill.
Only 2 people want to know how to build a business plan. Am I understanding that correctly? All right. Build your GPS right now.
All righty. You are live streaming now, Bill, on Facebook.
All right. I'm just sending a quick little message to the group. What's up, Facebook land? All right. Should we get started or wait a moment, or what do you think?
We can wait a quick moment. I'm going to send it out. I'm sending it out again.
All right. So Melody, if you were to give some of our agents in the Facebook land some advice on how to build a real estate business, what would you say? You have a very interesting seat in our office.
Legion.
You see people come and go.
Legion.
And why is that so important?
You have to legion every day.
And what happens if you legion every day?
You don't have roller coaster rides in the business.
You don't have roller coaster rides in the business.
And Nicole, feel free to shout out, what happens if you don't legion every day?
You don't have roller coaster. If you don't, oh, you're gonna have nothing. It's gonna be a sporadic. Oh, hey, I want to sell my house instead of a consistent, systematic closings that you can predict. You're not gonna be able to predict your business at all.
Oh, for sure not. For sure not. All right. I just want to personally thank Mary. She is our the only person with their camera on. Zoom is a video conferencing system. Oh, thanks.
I'm in my car.
You guys are so nice to me. All right. Robin, thanks for joining us. I feel like now you got me a little nervous that I'm teaching one of the experts.
Oh, I just want to eavesdrop. I'm turning my phone back off, my camera back off, because I just want to eavesdrop.
Okay. Well, there's a lot of different ways to think about a business plan.
Right.
There's not a right way and there's not a wrong way, right? It is simply a variety of different ways to get to the same place. So we only have an hour today, so I want to try to cover a lot of ground, and I want to spend a good chunk of the time really in more of like a workshop setting where we're really coming up with some ideas as a group on how to make this plan tangible. So I want to kind of go from the 50,000 foot view, and then we'll quickly use a couple of models to get down to like the 10-foot view, and then we'll spend most of our day there. Does that sound good? All
Sounds
right.
good to me, Bill.
All right. Good morning, Corey. I think pretty much everybody knows each other.
Hello.
Nicole,
Hello.
I haven't seen you in a little while. It's good to see you on the call. Thank you. All right, Mel, do I have screen share? Oh, I do have screen sharing.
Yes, you have screen share.
Oof, I feel special. All right. I'm going to walk you guys through a couple of quick screens, and then we're going to get to the heart of the matter, okay? If you take our job as leaders of a real estate brokerage and you make it just as simple as you can possibly make it, okay? Our job is the following. We need to figure out what it is you want, why it is that you want it. We need to show you the game plan or show you the playbook, if you will. And then I believe that our job is to hold you accountable. Okay. And many of you guys know me. I'm shooting you straight. Oh, Lana. Oh man, now I really feel nervous about presenting.
Hi,
What's up, Lana? What's up?
how are you?
Great. Thanks for being here today. Okay.
Yeah.
So what we want to figure out is, nobody makes any money by you coming in and buying a KW name tag and saying you're a real estate agent, right? We all win together when we are accomplishing our goals. And when we get the satisfaction of helping a buyer buy or a seller sell or being involved in getting a kid to the right school district or a family closer to their, ailing parents or whatever it is, right? Real estate is much, much more deep than just slinging homes all day long, okay? So, however, if you're not purposeful about what you do on a daily basis, what is going to end up happening is you're going to have what Nicole referenced earlier, which is this kind of seesaw of activity and income, activity and income, activity and income. It's like if you don't dedicate the proper amount of time to being on the phone growing the business every day, what ends up happening is you become broke, and then you bust it lead generating, then you go and work the deals that you just found, and you don't have time to lead generate anymore, or you have time, you're just not managing your time properly. And then when those deals close, you're back to being broke because you got nobody in the pipeline, right? So in an effort to avoid that up and down and that roller coaster and that pretty significant degree of stress, what we do is we create a business plan that remains steady at all times so that we can have a predictable business. That's the whole point of these tools, is to have a predictable business. Okay. So one of the tools that we have been speaking a lot about lately.
Finish.
What's that? What's up, Jerry?
Hey, sorry, coming on with all this noise.
That's okay. Thanks for being here. All right, so I've shared my screen with a couple of tools to really help you understand what to put into the GPS and what to put into the 411, which we'll cover here shortly. So really what we need to do is we need to tie metrics to the activities. And the other thing we have to connect is the goal to the activities. Because at all times, we want to know if we're on track or not. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of run really quickly through this. Okay, I would say 9 times out of 10, maybe even more. Okay, when I ask an agent, what is your financial goal? They'll say, I want to make $100,000. Okay, so we developed a program that is essentially how to cap in 6 months, which is essentially the exact same math as how to net 100 grand. Okay. At an average sales price of $350,000 with buyers and sellers, and evenly split between sellers and buyers, seller side of the business and buyer side of the business, you're looking at 12 transactions, 1 a month, right? I don't think any of us have a goal to sell less than 1 house a month, right? So after a bunch of calculations and stuff, which I can certainly show you guys offline, what we see here is what I call the big rocks of your business. Okay, 11 daily contacts. Okay, 29 appointments throughout the entire year. So just over 2 a month. 22 of those you will agree to work with. You will take their listing. Okay, and then if you round up, it's 3 appointments a month, taking 2. Okay, so what I've taught before is the goal is to set an appointment a week, go on 3 a month, take 2 of them, close 1 of them. If you do that, your GPS will work out just fine. Okay, so really everything is going to be built on this number right here. Is you can be the smartest real estate agent in the entire universe. You can know every school district, every subdivision, every builder, every floor plan. However, and know every script and every rebuttal and everything. But if you don't have anyone to share that stuff with, you're not going to make any money. Okay, and it's not going to be all that fun. Okay, so what we do here is the biggest question of all is, how do I know if my activities are working? The way you know if your activities are working is you say to yourself, am I going on enough appointments? That's really the key indicator to how healthy is your business. Am I going on enough appointments? Okay, and in this example, we're going to build a plan around 29 appointments per year. Is that fair? That fair? All right, beautiful. So the next thing we're going to do is, and by the way, this is the end result of the economic model. The next model of the millionaire real estate agent is the lead generation model. And the question you would ask as you approach the lead generation model is you'd say, great, Bill, thanks for telling me I need 29 appointments. Where are those coming from? Right? I barely have 29 people in my database, or I'm new to town, or where am I going to find them? Right? So I can rattle off a number of places that you could go to get these appointments. So I want to make today as interactive as possible. So feel free, please, to shout out some ways that we could find those appointments. What systems, what techniques, what tools? Go for it.
Open house leads.
Great. What else? So I'll make some notes here as we shout them out. So open houses, what else?
FSBOs.
Great. What else?
Social media.
What was that?
Social media.
Social media, love it. Okay, what else?
Paid ads.
Sorry, your volume is really low. I'm sorry. What was that?
Oh, sorry. I'm having computer issues today. Paid ads, running paid.
Oh yeah. Paid ads. Okay, great. Give me like 3 more.
Smart plans.
Yeah. Okay. Come on.
Holiday
Expired listing.
cards to your database.
So some of these are like more tactical than like sources, if you would. So we'll come back to that, Heather. I actually have drafted a template that includes that. So expired listings. What's another big one? How about sphere of influence?
The sphere of influence, and also door knocking.
Door knocking, great.
Farming.
Farming, great. All right, let's do that. So what I want to do is introduce you to this concept of the GPS, or the 135, okay? Technically, GPS is Keller Williams is going away from the term GPS as I understand it, because it's a copyrighted thing and we don't hold the copyright for it. So we've been referring to it as a 135, okay? The idea here, I'm gonna show you a sample, and this is just a sneak peek right here. You have one goal. You have 3 priorities, and each of the priorities has 5 strategies. So 1 goal, 3 priorities, and 5 strategies. Now, not to get into the weeds too much with this, but I want to show you as you build your business bigger and bigger, and as you grow a team and all these kind of things, if that's on your radar, the 3 priorities to achieve your goal are going to fluctuate a little bit. Okay. I would say that the vast majority of the time for a new agent, the 3 priorities should be the 3 lead generation strategies you have that you're going to press really hard on. Okay. As you grow your business, it may turn into I forgot to share my screen. Hang on. Leads, listings, leverage, appointments, database growth, personal development, systems, tools, people, build the database, feed the database, touch the database, listing transactions, buyer transactions, customer care, production, people, profit. This is probably the most common one for new agents. Lead generation type 1, lead generation type 2, lead generation type 3. Make sense? Any questions on that?
What are the different types of?
The type would be like sphere of influence, number 1. Number 2, open houses. Number 3, social media, something like that. So it's the type of, or it could read source, the type or the source of, really type is probably a better word. I'm going to generate leads by this type of lead generation strategy. Okay. So one of the things that I typically see more often than not is the following. The goal is generally focused around income or number of units you sell. Okay. As your organization gets bigger and bigger, you tend to see it more around units. The reason I say that is because you have to build your organization for the sheer quantity of activities you have to do. Because I could make 100 grand by selling 3 houses or 30 houses, depending on the actual average price, right? But if I have 3 houses that are 3 transactions that need to get monitored, I could probably do that by myself in my sleep. But if I have 30, there's no way I'm doing that by myself with 2 kids and a wife and all the other stuff I want to do. Make sense?
Yeah.
So we want to build our plan on that workload, which is generally measured by the number of sales that we're going to have. Okay. So in this example, I'll edit this to reflect our plan. Edit directly. Okay, 12 homes in 2021. Okay, in this example, I said we are going to have 3 priorities, and this person is going to build their database or build their business or get appointments basically by open houses, cold calls, sphere of influence. Is everyone cool with that?
Yeah.
Now, would you guys rather create it yourself or talk about an example of the way I did it?
Let's use your example.
Okay, so, all right, yell out if you have any questions or you don't like the way I wrote this, okay? So the way that the first one I said is open houses. Now, if we're gonna do 12 units, we have to say to ourselves, how many do we want from this source? Maybe 4 from this source, right? Maybe 4 from this source, and maybe 4 from this source, right? So how do we make sure that we can get 4 closings from open houses? Well, what we have to do is verify, hang on just 1 second, let me try to, yeah, that's much better. Okay, that way I'm kind of looking at you. Okay, we need to host a certain number of open houses so that we can enter enough people into command and do smart plans with them and flirt with them and court them over time and check in with them regularly and all these things so that ultimately when the time is right, we can book the appointment, hold the appointment, close the appointment, and put them through the buying process so that ultimately we can sit at the closing table with them. Fair to say? So I'm gonna host open houses to get 4 closings. That's not clear enough. That's way too vague. And the idea there is that most everything in the strategies section should have one of 2 things, if not both, either a metric or a deadline. Okay, a metric and or a deadline. The reason I say that is because we need to be able to quantify whether we are working, right? Whether we're on track. I don't want you to think that hosting 1 open house a week or a month is enough if that doesn't check out mathematically, right? So like I might talk to somebody and they say, well, I want to have 12 closings next year. And I said, well, how many people in your database? And they say, 28. I say, well, I don't know that that's a good start to a plan, right? We're going to need to get some more people into that database ASAP and systematically communicate with them so that enough closings are going to happen. I don't want you to expect that database to spit out 12 closings because it's almost certainly not going to. Make sense? All right, so we want to quantify things. So we're going to host 4 open houses, let's say. This is number of units, by the way, not to be confused with the number of open houses. Hang on. 4 units. Oops. Okay, so rather than say, yes.
All right, we're seeing your calendar, not
Oh,
your.
you know what? I'm sorry. I was trying to move it to, you can see it right now, right?
Not yet.
All right, hang on one sec. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. Glad I didn't lose anyone by showing my calendar. I know that's a little overwhelming. All right. Just a moment. All right, can you see it now?
Yes.
All right, cool. So we're gonna do 4 open houses. So maybe we're gonna do 3 of them on a Sunday and 1 of them on a Thursday night. Okay, say, oh, open houses on a Thursday night? I didn't know you could do that.
Get it?
What?
Did you get it?
Figured out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm logging out.
Okay. Robin's logging out, but it's not because she's not having fun.
She
Okay.
saw your calendar and she's out.
I know, she's like, boy, Bill's working hard. I guess I need to go fill up my calendar or something. I don't know. Love you, Robin. All right, so can you do an open house on a Thursday night? Yeah. Yeah, you can do anything you want. That's why we got into this business, because you can control your time and you can meet with people whenever you feel like meeting with people, right? So maybe the crowd that couldn't come on Sunday could come on Thursday. Who knows, right? Let's give it a shot. If we do 5 of them in a row and we don't get a single person to any of them, let's try a different day, right? But open houses don't always have to be from 1 to 3 or 2 to 4 on a Saturday or Sunday. Do them whenever you want to do them.
Hey, just to interject real quick, I've heard of people doing like a Friday noon hour, something like that. So, you know, people on Fridays will take like an executive lunch sometimes, and so they can go check out a house.
Wait, what's an executive lunch?
Well, like a 2-hour or 3-hour lunch.
Man, I'm glad I'm getting to know you better. This is gonna be cool. An executive lunch. Whew. I just need a breakfast. All right.
Put it on your calendar, Bill.
Yeah,
Add it
exactly. Exactly. So now we know when we're doing the open houses. So what do we need to do to make sure that we're running, if we're going to get 1/3 of our transactions and 1/3 of our income is going to come from this thing we call open houses, how do we become the best open house hoster there's ever been, right? We do that by developing systems. So I said, we're going to develop a system for pre-open house. And I said the deadline was October 25th. Okay. What is the system for the pre-open house? Let me throw a few ideas at you. The first would be, when do we select it? Right. Would you agree that if you, let's look at 2 different options. One is Saturday afternoon, you decide you don't have anything better to do on Sunday. And so you select the open house, you buy 3 balloons, you put out 2 signs, and 1 person comes to the open house, and you're like, open houses don't work for me. The truth of the matter is you didn't work for the open house. Okay. If instead you select the open house on Monday, you go knock 100 doors on Tuesday, you do a social media blast and ad campaign on Wednesday, you'd cold call the 1,000 neighbors that live closest to it, and invite them to the open house on Thursday. You door knock another 50 homes on Friday and post a social media video and text it to your database saying, hey, this is a beautiful 4-bed, 2.5 bath home. Updated this and big that and big that. Come and visit with me at 1 o'clock on Sunday. Can't wait to see you. And then you hand out about a bunch of flyers and stuff on the morning of, and then you have 10 signs with 10 sets of balloons and 10 riders. Would you expect more people to show up?
Yes.
I agree. And
Hey,
when more
Bill,
people
quick
show
question.
up, one sec. And so when more people
Okay.
show up and they say, gosh, that's a lot of signs you got out there. Say, aren't you, well, I'm giving the absolute best service to my sellers. Isn't that what you would expect of your future listing agent?
Right.
And they say, well, I guess. As a matter of fact, that is exactly what I'm looking for, right? Say, great, let's get to know each other, right? So if you perform at a 2, you'll get 1 level results. If you perform at a 12, you'll get 10 level results. Does that make sense? Gosh, if I'm going to take 3 hours away from my family on a Sunday, I want it to be worthwhile, right? So what do we do prior to the open house to make certain that we have the best results? Okay, so I'm going to create that timeline. What do I do Monday? What do I do Tuesday? Right? Do I even know what I don't know? Probably not. Well, there's something called the 7th level open house. It's a MAPS course, right? We have Facebook, Google, all kinds of resources to figure out how the best of the best open house hosters do what they do. So let's not reinvent the wheel. Let's go figure out what top performers are doing. Okay. We develop a system for the open house day, right? So how many balloons do we put out? How many riders do we put out? Where do we put them? Do we door knock around? Hey, I door knock 25 homes to the left of the open house, 25 to the right of the open house, and 50 across the street. Hey, I'm Bill. That's my sign in the yard. I'm working with Mr. and Mrs. Smith. They have a fabulous home. We've got lots of calls. A lot of times people know the people that are going to move to the area. I'm just curious, have you seen this house? Do you want to stop by and see it? Do you know of anyone that wants to move into the area? Right? By the way, when it comes to real estate, if you have a real estate need or question in the future, who do you trust? Well, I don't actually know of anybody. Great. I'm Bill. Here's my card. You want my mobile app? Right? You want to be on my newsletter? You want a connection to seems like you like living here. Have you thought about refinancing? Right? Because in a seller's market, you should, with these low interest rates, there should be 2 things on your mind: either sell it or refinance it. It should be one of the 2, right? I think I've told a lot of you this. I have a neighbor that bought 14 months ago, and he is about to refinance for the 3rd time.
Oh, wow.
And he's saving hundreds of dollars every single time. Okay. So every single person in your world should know that. All right. So what happens the day of the open house, right? What's your sign-in sheet look like? Is it digital? Is it not digital? Is it a landing page so it feeds directly into command? Right? Are you asking them for things like where they live so that you can put them on a nurture campaign? Do you run up to them as soon as they walk in the door and pitch yourself, or do you kind of lean back a little bit? Do you do it by yourself, or do you have somebody else there? Right? Because if I've spent all week trying to drum up traffic to this open house, it may be more than one person can handle. Not to mention the safety concerns of doing it by yourself, right? Do you have donuts and coffee, or do you have iced tea, or do you have, some kind of cookies or whatever? What's your protocol? Can I say, oh my gosh, I'm running so late to this open house. So-and-so at the office, here's my open house strategy plan. Go run this play, right? Is it duplicatable? Or are you planning on hosting open houses for the rest of your life, right? What's the play? What's the play that we're running? Okay, so we have a deadline for that. We develop a system for the post open house day, right? Do they get a video text at the end of the open house saying, hey, George, it was such a pleasure meeting you. It's so interesting that we both have daughters that go to Georgia Tech. you know, hopefully I'll see you Friday at the game, right? Or, you know, hey, Sarah, thanks for stopping by the open house. As promised, I'll do a 3-way text introducing you to my favorite lender, right? It's personalized. It's not, hey, this is Bill. You met me at the open house. I'll call you this week and we can schedule a time to meet. That is clearly the mass text. It's got to be personalized. There's not that many people that came to the open house that you can't make it personalized. By the way, if they came to your open house, there's a very good likelihood they came to other people's open houses, and you are basically on stage trying to outperform all the other people that they might have met that day. So please don't think that you're gonna like give them a few days and call them on Thursday and expect that to turn into your client. There's not a chance. Okay, you got to be super assertive. Super assertive. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of smart plan do you put them on? So that, Heather, that may be where like smart plans come into effect, right? And you could also have smart plans for sphere of influence, which we'll get to in a second. So what do you do post open house? You know, if they're not responding, do you have a strategy? If they are responding, do you have a strategy? If they don't respond for 4 days, maybe send them a home that looks kind of like the one you met them at and say, hey, this one just popped on the market. Would you like to see it? Hey, this one just popped on the market. Got any questions? Hey, I'm going to be in the area Tuesday at 3. Would you like to meet me and I'll show you this home? See what I'm saying? What kind of nuggets can you throw at them so that they say, yeah, I would like to spend a few more minutes with you? Make sense? But if you call them up and you're like, hi, this is Bill. We met at the open house, and you do this like on Thursday, and you're like, we met at the open house 4 days ago. You're probably already under contract with the more assertive agent, but I wanted to see if you wanted to come in for a buyer consultation where I could show you an 80-page brochure about things that aren't important to you. That's not going to work. Does that make sense?
Bill, I
Okay.
just put in the chat the website for Fast People Search that Kathy Ray gave me. So if you're missing information on people that you gather at the open house, you can search them real quick and see what you can find on them to better communicate with your open house people.
Love it. Thank you. Good idea there. Thank you. And then do you have all the supplies you need, right? Do you have enough signs? Do you have enough riders, right? So maybe you buy all the supplies by a certain day. So you put all those systems together and you can track the people that come and go, and you, bless you, and you have communication strategies with all of them in a systematic, electronic, automatic way, then you will get yourself enough appointments from open houses for it to feed a third of your business. Does that make sense? Any questions on that?
Bill, I got a quick question.
Yeah.
Being that you've, only because even as a veteran, cold call, I could do it, but it doesn't sound as nice to me. So my question to you, being that you knock the doors and you've done all this and the backdrop, would it be still considered a cold call, or would it be a warm call at that time because you've already knocked on their door?
You're saying the doors that you knock around the open house?
Yes.
I think that's pretty cold. What are you referring to?
What I'm saying is we've already knocked on their door, and now we're inviting them to the open house too, right? So would it still be considered a cold, or would it be warm, or am I just semantics?
You're probably in the weeds a little bit with semantics. I would say that it's cold until they basically tell you it's not cold, right? So if you have a cold knock and you end up having a great conversation with somebody and you say, hey, why don't you stop by at 1 o'clock, and they stop by, that's warm. But if they ignored your door knock and then they ignore your cell phone call, they're still cold.
Okay, I was thinking the first. I wasn't thinking the latter.
Yeah. You know, we can get in the weeds a little bit on like, did this one come from a cold call or from an open house? The bottom line is we want to create so much activity and be interacting with so many people that we can barely keep it straight in order to have the number of closings that we're probably going to want to have. Does it make sense? And the way you make sure that you don't make a fool out of yourself is by having great notes in your CRM by having as much automated as you can, and by being able to have some type of a visual reminder of the people that are most likely to do business with you, right? All right,
Yep.
let's move to, let's start off this cold calls just for 1 second. So somebody recently said to me, well, Bill, I don't want to do any cold calling. I said, great, you don't have to do any cold calling. However, if you don't sit down with enough ready, willing, and able buyers and sellers, however you end up with them, you're not going to make enough money to hit your goals. Okay. And so if you don't want to do any cold calling, that's fine. Run your own play, that's totally fine. But if you're not generating enough appointments, you may want to be open-minded to an additional strategy. Okay. So by no means am I telling you you have to do cold calls. I'm just saying you need to make sure that you are in reality with respect to your size of your database, your daily activities, and your financial goals. That makes sense? Right, so if you've got a database of 50 and you want to have 60 closings a year, something's got to change. Right? Unless you got just an amazing investor in there somewhere. Okay. Is this helpful so far? All right, shout out any questions or complaints or ideas or something if you're not clear about something, okay? So let's say we're also going to get some leads from cold calling, okay? Let's just say, for example, well, let me come back to that. So we need to study our scripts for 30 minutes per day, maybe Monday through Friday with a partner, and my partner is, right? Somebody to hold you accountable, because look, practicing isn't all that fun all the time, right? But if you find a like-minded person who also needs to develop their skill and who also has goals, and the two of you together can work to increase the likelihood of you both hitting your goals, then probably a good idea, right? We don't want to spend all this time and money earning an appointment so that then we can then practice our scripts on them, right? If we work really hard to find ourselves a ready, willing, and able seller, we don't want to say our listing presentation for the very first time in front of them. We want to be naturals at it by that point, right? Number two, we want to learn the platform of wherever we're going to get the data from, right? So if you get the data from a service like Landvoice or Vulcan 7 or Espresso Agent or any of those places, what are the best practices and how do I manipulate the data so that it's as efficient as possible, right? Do I have a dialer system? Like, how does all that work? So I want to figure that out because I'm learning. There's not necessarily a metric involved. There should be a deadline there. So this is more of a task. So I need to put a deadline on when that's going to happen. Okay. Begin calling every day at 9 a.m. with the goal. And what is the goal? With the goal of setting one appointment a day. So you can't pay your bills with, well, I dialed 85 people. Well, how many did you speak to? 2. How many appointments did you book? 0. How many people did you add to your database? 0. You didn't do much, right? I know you made a lot of dials, but there's not really much result that happened there. So we need to have a goal to say, hey, my job is to set an appointment a day, or my job is to set an appointment a week, whatever it is, so that you know you're on track. Okay. The next thing we need to do, cold calling is pretty intense. There's a lot of different things happening at a lot of different times. So we probably want to have some type of tracking system for all of our prospects and set them up on smart plans, right? So is this person likely to buy a home next or sell a home next, right? Is this somebody that lives out of state or are they local? Is this somebody that needs to sell before they buy? Is this person somebody that's working on their credit? Is this person that's somebody that's working on renovating their house before it sells? Like, what kind of smart plans and what kind of follow-up procedures and tracking do you have in mind or in place? Okay, it's got a deadline here. We have to think like, we have to go from the perch of the CEO of the business that is mostly dealing with strategy and ideas and systems and people and tools. And we have to sit in that seat for a while. And then once we kind of decide what the plan's going to look like, then we have to go into the worker bee seat and go implement it. Right? Okay, the next thing I would suggest doing is maintain a pipeline of all the prospects that might do business with you in the next 12 months. As I've said plenty of times in the productivity room, is look, if you are behind, you will do just about anything to acknowledge the fact that you're behind, right? So I know you can do this in command and opportunities, and I think that's a great idea. However, I always recommend something more visual than that, because if you're having a lousy week or a lousy month, believe me, you're not signing into command to see how much money you're not going to make. You need something a little bit more in your face of a reality check of, am I currently courting enough people to hit my financial goals? If the answer to that is yes, keep it up. If the answer to that is no, let's have a reality check. What are we going to do about it? Are you okay with that, or are we going to create a strategy to get out of that situation, right? So what does that pipeline look like? Really, this should have a deadline too. So maybe I'm doing this by November 15th or something. Okay. Any questions on that? So,
Bill, I have a question on that. If it's maintaining a pipeline, that sounds like an ongoing thing.
Oh,
You
absolutely.
really have a deadline. So wouldn't it be like once a week, bi-weekly?
Yeah, that's a good point. You'd probably create and maintain pipeline. So you'd probably create it by, let's say, November 15th, and you maintain it. You could even put maintained weekly, something like that. Really, what you're doing is you're maintaining it daily, because there are people that are, things are happening faster than you had expected them to have. You have people that are like, oh, we decided we're gonna, punt for 2 months and, call us back in September or whatever. So people become less urgent, right? So you're constantly evaluating, do I have enough people that are still going to do business with me in the next 2 months for me to pay my mortgage, right? I remember one of the very first open houses, actually the very first open house I ever hosted. I think I met 3 or 4 people, and I remember coming back to the office, and I had a cool little system. I had a blank sheet of paper, and I had 4 sheets of paper with the name and number and email of all 4 people on 4 different sheets of paper. And I said, okay, well, I'm at work today, so I guess I'll call all the people that I'm in a relationship with. And I called them all Monday. I said, hey, we met at the open house. You want to buy something? That wasn't my exact script, but you get my point. And I talked to them, and they're like, yeah, we're just looking. We're gonna, we're probably gonna do something in about 6 months. I say, great. So the next day I show up to work, and I still have 4 people in my pipeline. I'm like, am I supposed to call these people again? I guess I will. I got no one else to call, right? So we need to have so many people in the pipeline that the only way we keep it all straight is by having really good systems and notes, right? If you have memorized every fact about every client you got right now, you don't have enough clients. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay. Now, by the way, creating the pipeline is not necessarily just for cold calls, but I happen to put it here, right? If you have somebody that you met from an open house for a sphere of influence, those people should also be in your pipeline. Okay. So let's say we also want to get 4 units from our sphere of influence. Okay. So again, a lot of this is just setting up the systems so that your business can ultimately flow. So for many of us, we're relatively new to the business, and even those that are experienced, I would venture to say that many of us don't have all these systems in place, right? So for example, you want to do client events, right? You can establish some systems for those, right? When do I book the place that the event's going to be? What do the invitations look like? Is it digital? How much does it cost? When do I get the sponsors from my vendor partners, right? Is there some type of giveaway? Is there some type of contest? How do we, do we have a photographer there so they can take pictures of all the cool stuff that happens, right? how are we sharing the news of this event with everyone? Before the event, during the event, after the event? How do we thank people for participating, our vendors for participating, our the people that we hire and that help us pull this event off? How do we follow up with people that come, right? There's every type of process that you're going to use to grow your business. You should ask yourself, how do I make certain that everything is thought of? How do we systematize this so that somebody else can pull it off next time? Because I'm going to be busy going into buyer appointments and seller appointments. Make sense? All right, so let's say we also want to find some business from our sphere of influence, right? So can we get all of our contacts in command with smart plans by a certain day? Okay. Can we get everyone that we know into command? Okay. So if your database is still in like 6 different places, and like some of it's got cell phone numbers and some of it doesn't, and some of it's got emails and half the addresses are old and all this kind of stuff, we all know that's not where you should be. You just need to set some time aside and improve the foundation of your business, right? There are deals that are happening in that database that aren't going to you, and it's because you're not organized. Is that fair? And a mistake in our business is pretty pricey. Gosh, you forget to call somebody back when they tell you to call them, it could be 10, 15 grand.
Correct.
I mean, I would venture to say if you've been in the business longer than a year, you've definitely lost a piece of business that way. Is that fair to say?
Yep.
I don't even want to think about how much I've lost. Okay. Are you willing to get all your contacts into command and put them on a smart plan? Even if it's the quarterly call and you sign into command every day and see which person you're supposed to call or which people you're supposed to call, right? Once you get their address, get them on a nurture campaign, right? You could say anything. You could say, hey, Keller Williams got some really cool new technology. I was hoping you could give me some feedback on it. Would you like to download my mobile app and play around with it? Give me some feedback. Well, sure, Bill, you're such a nice guy. You've been so great at communicating with me after that open house that we met at 12 years ago. I'd be happy to do that. Okay. What's your social media strategy? Right? Might not perfectly fall under sphere of influence, but I think your sphere of influence is kind of your audience, so to speak, right? It's the people, it's the people that you have influence with, right? So do you do something special on Sundays? Do you do something special on Mondays? What's your system to execute your social media strategy, right? Maybe every Monday you post something positive about the real estate market. Maybe every Tuesday you spotlight a local business, right? And tag them and tag you so you get some additional exposure. Maybe every Wednesday you post a motivational quote or something like that. Maybe every Thursday you do a sneak peek at the open house that you're going to be hosting on Sunday. Maybe every Friday you post something about a cool activity going on in the marketplace. Hey, there's a beer festival going on in Roswell this weekend. Hey, there's an art festival going on in Swanee this weekend. Hey, there's a fancy car show in Smyrna this weekend. Thought you might like to know. Whatever. Make sense? Do you have a strategy? And are you willing to commit to executing on the strategy every time, right? Events, right? When do you select your event? Let's say I know things are changing now with COVID. Maybe it's a digital event. Both my kids said no to this yesterday, but we were invited to this magic show yesterday at 3 o'clock, and it was $10. Right? I don't think you want to charge your people, but basically it was a link to sign on to this magic show. And they were like, bring 4 quarters and bring like an envelope and bring like a deck of cards and bring like, a handkerchief or something. And so all the people that tuned in, that's what they brought to the Zoom, and they sat there in front of their computer and they watched a magician do their thing, right? If you've got a bunch of families in your database, who's to say you can't invite them all to a similar program and hire a magician, right? Those kids will be talking about that forever. And those kids will be thinking, when they mention it, it'll remind the adults about you. Oh yeah, that Heather, that was such a cool event that she did 2 years ago. You know, our neighbor Mary, she's thinking about selling. I bet Heather would like an introduction to that person. Before you know it, you're going to have referrals coming left and right. Okay, so what's your strategy around events? How many do you have? Are they in person? Who helps pay for them? All that kind of stuff, right? 36 touch plan. Keller Williams research suggests that if you communicate with the people in your database 36 times a year with touches that range from events to phone calls to text to handwritten notes to newsletters to neighborhood nurtures, all that stuff, 10% of the database should close every year. Okay, you got a database of 100 people, 10 closers. Okay, average closing in our marketplace is about 10 grand. So every person in your database is worth about $1,000 a year. If you were to think about it that way, you would be on fire trying to grow that database. Okay, so what is that plan, and can it be automated, and when is it going to be automated by? And let's say every week you have a system that you're going to take 10 blank handwritten notes and you're going to put them on the corner of your desk, and your goal by the end of the week is to have those 10 notes gone. You got 10 notes, a pen, and 10 stamps. You got a weekly goal of getting that stuff off your desk, right? So all week you're looking for 10 phone calls or 10 exchanges that you've had with another human that basically says, thank you. I'm so grateful for that referral. Or, hey, it was so great to meet you at the open house. Or, hey, it was so great to interview for the opportunity to list your home, right? You know, it's so great to meet you at the ice cream social that the school did for our kids. It's so great to know somebody who's got a daughter in our class, blah, 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 right? Does that make sense? So one thing that is in common with all of this idea is that it's intentional. It's purposeful. So you don't just say, I'm going to find appointments somewhere, or I'm just going to go talk to a bunch of people. You say, if I can implement this strategy, action, track it, it is an inevitability that you will sit in front of buyers and sellers. And a lot of them. And then if you dedicate time each day to practicing, right? So what this doesn't talk about is all of this stuff is activity-based, and it's really client-facing. What it doesn't talk about, and that's why I've always done my GPSs slightly differently, where I've done some kind of a learning section, right? So when do I practice my scripts? When do I study the market? When do I practice my presentations? Who's my script practice partner? That kind of stuff, behind the scenes work. Then I increase my chances of being more efficient at what I just showed you. The more purposeful of an approach you take to your business, by examining all the different systems and tools and technology and leverage that we have access to, I know it's not all going to happen overnight. I'm very aware of that. But if you could say, hey, I think open houses are a way I'd like to run my business. So for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to become the smartest open house person ever. And I'm not going to think about expireds for 2 weeks, because this is my 2 weeks to nail down open houses. And at the end of this 2 weeks, there ain't going to be anyone better at open houses than me. And then at those 2 weeks in, you say, all right, what's next? How about expireds? Or how about let's work on some smart plans right now? Again, if we allow ourselves to get overwhelmed with all the stuff KW offers and Ignite and Bold and this class and PC and all that, your head's gonna explode, right? You just gotta say to yourself, if I don't book appointments, nothing else matters. So I should be spending a certain amount of my day looking for business and a certain amount of my day getting really skilled so that when I get the appointment, I know what to do. Okay. You don't need to know how to do a mail merge on campaign or command right now. You need to get in front of people that want to buy or sell or invest in real estate and love on them. Does that make sense? Then you can pay somebody to do that. Nicole, I can see the yellow thing around your box. Does that mean you want to say something?
On accident.
You got nothing to say after 55 minutes?
No, I think it's
Can't
great.
be.
What you're saying is great. It's all confirmation, and you know, I do this for booster shots to get myself going.
Yeah, that's right. So then, let me show you one other tool real fast. Okay. Hang on one sec. I know we're running a little short on time, but I'll show you this as well. Nothing like accountability to have a Facebook Live with your GPS or your 411. So I've done a bunch of these classes before, and I'm sure I'll do more. But so far, we've talked a lot about the GPS and the 135. That is kind of a business plan that you're probably going to visit once every month or so, right? You're going to visit that once every month, and that is going to remind you, hey, did I hit all these deadlines? Did I host 4 open houses this week? Have I gotten rid of the 40 handwritten notes that I placed on my desk? That kind of stuff. So that is kind of a, that's not really designed to be like a daily list or something you stare at daily. The 411 is, okay? So you take a lot of, by the way, I should have mentioned this at the beginning. The GPS is really a tool for any goal, okay? So the goal that we built that last GPS off of was 12 transactions in a year. You could also build a GPS on losing 20 pounds in 6 months, or by saving 20 grand to buy an investment property, or by, any goal that you have, personal, professional. I want to take my kids to Disney World in February. Okay, so we got to talk about the affordability of it, the planning of it, and the timing of it. Okay, what are my strategies for each? Any goal you have, you can build a GPS for. The 411 is kind of a conglomeration of all the goals. So it's to say I've got some job goals, some business goals, some personal and financial goals, and some personal goals, right? The difference between job and business, really quickly, is business is when you're in the CEO role. Job is like your daily work activities, okay? For those of us that are operating by ourselves, you got both roles, okay? So a business goal may be, I'm going to hire an assistant this year. A job goal would be, I got to go on 2 appointments this week, right? So you write all your annual goals, okay? That's one of the ones, 1 year, 1 month, and 4 weeks. And then each week, you're basically updating this by saying, look, my goal is to have 20 external appointments in the month of November. Okay, so if the rest of this week ends, and let's say I've had 2, okay, then I have 18 more that I got to do in the next 3 weeks. So this is basically a big sheet of what my priorities are, okay? And I have this on my desk every day. So if I feel like I'm running out of things to do, or I'm unsure of what I should be doing next, then I just simply have to look at my sheet that tells me what my priorities are. So maybe your priorities are, reading the Bible. Maybe your priority is having dinner with your family, a date night, saving 10% from your commission check. Maybe it is read a book a week. Maybe it's to go on an appointment a week. Maybe it's to go to the gym 4 times a week, right? So what are the priorities? Because let me tell you something, there are a lot of distractions in this business. And if you are unclear what your priorities are, we are human beings, and this is exactly what's going to happen. You're going to walk into your office, you're not going to have a list of your priorities in front of you, and you're going to say to yourself, I wonder if anyone needs me on email. "Oh, I wonder if anyone needs me on Facebook." And you will go there and it will suck the life out of you. Okay. And then you're going to finally get off that thing and you're going to say, I don't think I did anything today because I didn't add anyone to my database. I didn't learn a new script. I didn't develop a new system, right? I didn't book any appointments. Well, what ended up happening is you spent all day working on somebody else's priorities instead of your priorities. Interestingly enough, it's not even their priorities. It's like their non-priorities. Because if, let's say, Ebony, I got a message I need to get to you. And we'll end with this thought. If I got a message I got to get to you, right? I got three ways I can get it to you. I can either call you, text you, or email you, right? If I have chosen to email you, I'm basically telling you it's not a priority, right? Because I would have called or texted you if it was something that was super important. So basically, if I email you, I'm just simply getting it off my desk. I'm telling the world it's not a priority. Yet you treat it like a priority. As a matter of fact, you're so interested in email. I'm not talking about you in particular, Ebony, but you are so interested in my non-priority that you would rather do my non-priority than your priority. How messed up is that? Has anyone ever thought about it that way? All right.
Hey, Bill, is this that template or both templates that you reviewed today? Are those available in the drive?
They are, yeah. And for those that are not in PC coaching, I'm more than happy to share them with you, no problem. Yep. Yes, the 411. This is the 411. Oops, let me share my screen. This is the 411. Okay, and the other is the GPS. And then the other models that we looked at today are the economic model, which basically spit out, it took the, I want to make X number of dollars to, great, then you need to go on 29 appointments. Now where are those 29 appointments going to come from? Okay. And if we can focus on finding appointments and presenting to people, we will be getting constant feedback on how we're performing, right? Are we getting more and more skilled at getting to the appointment? Are we getting more and more skilled at the appointment? Okay. But remember, creating a really fancy GPS and a really colorful 411, you can't buy anything with that. You can only buy stuff with commission checks. Make sense?
Yes.
Ain't that the truth, right? And so we just have to focus on getting in front of people. The cool part is there's not anyone in the universe we can't help. Assuming everyone lives somewhere, they either own it and we can help them with that, or they rent it and we can help them with that, right? So the more people that you get in front of and communicate with and love on and share your expertise with, the more opportunities you'll have. All right, any final questions?
Thank you.
Was this helpful? All right, beautiful.
Yes, always
Yeah,
helpful.
very
Thank you.
helpful.
It's great to see you guys. Nicole, Jerry, Lana, thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
All right, guys, have a great day.
Thank you. Have a good day.